Hello and welcome to this Acer for Education video series. In this series, we'll be discussing key issues that educators in Australia face when it comes to technology in the context of recent and current events. My name is Sarah Baker and I'm the Head of Editorial Southern Titles for Prime Creative Media Publications in Australia, which includes Education Matters magazine. I'll be hosting today's panel discussion and I'm joined by Mr. John Salceda, Head of IT at Loreto College, Coorparoo, Mr. Marshall Thompson, CEO of Acurus, and Mr. Jason Matzer, co-founder of Acurus. Mr. Paul Murren, Director of Technology at Ipswich Girls Grammar, and Mr. Rod Bassey, Oceanic Sales Director for Acer Computer Australia. A warm welcome and thank you, gentlemen, for giving up your time today to participate in this discussion. Despite some trying times, first with the bushfires and then with the coronavirus crisis, Australian communities have rallied together to support their schools. And this has included hardware technology vendors who have been working hard to meet the demands of schools across the nation. In this particular topic, we're going to discuss the role that technology vendors have in the education space and how the relationship between vendors and schools can translate to student benefits. To kickstart the discussion, I think it's most appropriate to direct the first question to Rod Bassey, who is the Oceanic Sales Director for Acer Computer in Australia. So here's my question to you, Rod. As a hardware vendor, what role does Acer play in assisting educators to provide students with the technology they need to learn safely and effectively?
Yes, thank you, Sarah. Look, on behalf of Acer, we take this type of matter extremely seriously and delicately. We feel a sense of responsibility. The education sector of Australia has been very kind to Acer for in excess of 25 years. And it's safe to say that we've learned along that journey together with the sector. So a lot of our growth and our understanding of what the education sector needs has been organic, and we've learned it out in the trenches by talking to customers such as Loreto, Ipswich Girls Grammar, and many other customers around the nation. We have refined ourselves and lifted our offering by learning from and asking, communicating and having that honest dialogue with schools in order to address their needs. For us as a vendor, it is important that we have products that from a technology point of view are going to be able to achieve the ways that we learn today. So there has to be a certain level of power to drive a machine, particularly in more recent years as we have all gravitated more towards laptops and notebooks. Particularly with growing students, boys and girls, weight is another very important factor. Remember the old, well, at least in my case, I remember the days when my bag was filled with very large, heavy textbooks, and a laptop of 15, 20 years ago weighed well in excess of 3 kilograms. In this day and age, for an average weight of 1.2, 1.3 kilograms, can give you all-day computing, can give you a significant amount of power to multitask and do all of the curriculum needs that are required and expected in today's world.
Fantastic. Thank you, Rod. I also remember the heavy laptop days, don't you worry.
You remember the heavy laptop days. I remember the heavy textbooks.
Yeah, that too. Fantastic. Thank you for that great response. And since we've got two representatives from schools here on the panel today, both who manage the IT departments at their schools, I'd address the next question to Paul and then John respectively. Working within the education sector, what are your expectations from a vendor in terms of support?
Yeah, I think Rod's answered some really key points. With us, obviously, we're a independent private school, and we run a premium one-to-one solution here for our girls. So sometimes the expectations from our parent body are pretty high with what we're delivering. So we need to be at the leading edge of technology with regards to software, hardware. So we need to be pen, touch. The usability, the longevity of the product is very key and important to us. Our staff and students are using their device day in, day out, every lesson, every night for planning, every night for homework. So I guess working with our vendors, they need to understand how education works, and Acer do that fantastically with us. They understand the product we need to put in the hands of our students, so that technology's not the difficult part. Technology just becomes a tool to then provide quality education.
Terrific, thank you, Paul. And over to you, John.
Just like what Paul said, we have reliance on technology, and Acer has been providing that. And our expectation for Acer is, or any vendor, is they need to be proactive and reliable. And Acer did that to us by providing 10 spare laptops even before we need it. So the proactiveness is there. Then a vendor needs to be considerate. Sometimes paperworks are not quick to complete in the event of accidental damage. Vendors should work with us to ensure we get the highest possible approval for insurance claim. And we have been happy with the kind of support that we're getting.
Thank you, John, and thank you, Paul. Both great, interesting responses there. And now I'm going to ask a question of Marshall, who is the CEO of the technology provider Acer. As a partner working with Acer, how important is the collaboration between technology providers in offering support to the education sector?
Well, Acer and Acer, we're both passionate about the safety of end users. It's really important to us. And obviously the safety of end user devices, such as the Acer fleets. So what we do with Acer is we provide a free CIS benchmark tool, and it's a standard, it's a world renowned best practice scan of notebooks or notebook fleets, or the operating systems on those fleets. So if someone's about to purchase a large Acer fleet, we'll take their standard operating environment and we'll run a scan on that standard operating environment, and then we'll give the school a score, and the score would be, let's say it's 58, which is good, or it could be 75, which is okay. But then we'll give them the score and say, look, here are some ways to improve the security of your standard operating environment. They go make those changes, and the score is normally improved. It should be uplifted to hopefully around 90 or thereabouts. So, it's trying to take a proactive step in securing the environment from the start as they roll them out.
Great, thank you so much for sharing that, Marshall. And now we're going to watch a short video from Acer on the latest product features that they have developed for their educational laptops.
For the education sector, Acer believes in providing dependable, robust and affordable products that meet every student's needs. We've also worked closely with Australian schools to develop the product range that best achieves this aim. That's why we've designed our education laptops to be lightweight and easy to transport, while made of strong, military-grade materials and with spill-resistant keyboards with mechanically anchored keys. Acer's education laptops have also been designed with online learning in mind. With lightning-fast Thunderbolt ports, multi-touch displays and Acer's new garageable pen, Acer's education series provide maximal speed, strength and flexibility. Together, Acer and schools around Australia can provide students with the technology that best supports and empowers them on their learning path.
Just to follow up from that video, Rod, this final question is directed to you. What support packages does Acer offer educators?
Thank you, Sarah. The collaboration and the building of the relationship that we take with schools and educators in order to profile and try and tailor a solution that is suitable for that specific school. Now, obviously, in education, there is a lot of commonality and a lot of overlaps, but there are also subtleties and differences to each school and educator. So security, in particular, is something that when you go back through the history of Acer, our function in this ecosystem was to make and deliver computer hardware. And that's where it originally used to stop. So as we've evolved organically and making the products more robust and fit for purpose for the education sector, it's only natural that in the world that we live in today, we start looking at how we can help and address the security aspect. And that's at the foundation of the relationship that we've bonded with Acurus. You know, it's refreshing as a vendor to educate ourselves on what some of the solutions and techniques are out there in corporate enterprise, and for us to be able to embark into a relationship with Acurus where we can actually take some of those key learnings and try and, you know, collaborate jointly together and with schools as well to bring this to the foreground. I think that's important. And that's not to say that schools are not doing that in their own right as well, but as a point of difference for Acer, so that we're not just, you know, that laptop that arrives once a year, and we can have a holistic 12 months of the year relationship. I think it's important for us to grab some of these key issues head on and come up with solutions so that we can all grow collectively as a community.
That's well said. Thank you so much, Rod. Really positive to hear, and wraps up our conversation well. I'd like to thank everyone on the panel for participating today. I've certainly learned a lot from this session, and I hope our viewers have found it just as insightful. Please look out for our other videos in this Acer for Education series, and thanks so much for watching.